people, and welcome to day 17 of your 20 days of SMF May. We are celebrating 20 years of actor advice and other showbiz creative advice from Bonnie Gillespie. That's me, and this is my book, Self-Management for Actors, which is how we came up with SMF May. It's the month of May. Self-Management for Actors has an amazing acronym, SMFA, which also spells out sexy motherfucking actors, so it's super easy to remember. Hello, Patricia. Good to see you over at YouTube. Thank you for reporting in. Those of you watching on Instagram Live, if you want to participate in the comments, please come over to Facebook, Periscope, Twitter. I don't know where the comments come through there. I think at Periscope. And of course, Facebook, where April is reporting in, John is reporting in at Periscope, and Patricia at YouTube. So we're all present and accounted for, and everybody knows the link in bio. And let me put it on the screen here, BonnieGillespie.com/20. Link in bio at Instagram, BonnieGillespie.com/20. Also, link in bio pretty much everywhere else for now, is the place to click to get all the information on our 20 days of live free trainings to celebrate the 20 years of all this badassery, demystifying the business side of a creative career in showbiz. Woo! It's a lot. So, in addition, at that link, you will find a link to apply for our scholarship, because we are busy enrolling and welcoming in all the new folks for the summer of awesome. We do SMFA Summer School. It's basically a live round of our 100-day challenge, getting gear for the next tier. And that's a program that's open year round, except for when we close it right after we start the live round, and we're about to start our next live round. And I love the live round because it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of new people, a lot of people who've been with the program from the very beginning, repeating the 100 days with that live support, because we do live Q&A phone calls every 10 days. We're also every day in the comments, which is true year round, but we're all there at the same time, which is a lot of really fun energy. And you can apply for a scholarship to join us for these 100 days at this link here, BonnieGillespie.com/20. Also the link in bio over at Instagram. So please do that. And if you're like, I already paid to join for the 100 days this summer, great. If you win the scholarship, you can get your money back, or you can get a coaching with me. So win-win, right? We will leave that up to you. And of course, I went through yesterday and watched some more of the scholarship entries, and you guys are adorable. Oh, April, good. April says, doing it live makes a huge difference. You know what? It does for me too, April. And, you know, I understand everybody's got a different learning style, or different primary learning style. We all have multiple learning styles. But everybody's got a primary learning style that is the best and most efficient way to get new information, like really locked in. And for me, I'm an interactive learner, and that's an odd primary learning style. It's not terribly uncommon as a secondary or tertiary learning style, but as a primary learning style, it's pretty bizarre to lead with interactive, but it makes perfect sense. It's why every time I have a conversation about something, every time I yes and with someone about something, I learn it better. I learn it deeper. I become more expert at whatever it is the more I talk about it. And that's why Self-Management for Actors exists. I went and interviewed hundreds of casting directors starting out when I was an actor in the 90s. And in talking with all these casting directors about what are the rules, I got a clearer and clearer and clearer picture that became exponentially more clear over time. Each interview would just make things even more aha for me, because that's the way my brain is wired. And that is, of course, why Self-Management for Actors is so awesome, because it's all about using the data that is available to us to figure out what it is that our buyers need, and what is it that needs to be a part of our journey as we head to the next tier. So today we are focusing specifically on content creation. And y'all know this because a lot of you were here with me yesterday when we talked about self-taping, and of course the value of getting down with putting yourself on tape. And we know it's not tape anymore, but we still call it self-taping. I don't know if that'll ever go away. Call it self-taping. It's not self-taping. You are putting yourself down on the digital. You are getting the footage out there of you doing the material that aligns with your brand, that aligns with your buyers, that shows your buyers that you are the proper intersection of this talent and this material at this time, at this tier, and they need to know you exist because you solve a problem that they, the buyers, on your road road to your true north have. So it's just easy mapping out the road here, right? Also, if I didn't make this clear yesterday, let me say this now. You become your agent's secret weapon when you are good with self-taping, because it means you never really have to book out unless you're completely off the grid. Because even if you go on vacation, even if you go out of town, your agent or your manager is always going to be able to get you a self-tape audition, because they know, even if you're in a hotel room, you know how to make it work. And I love it when actors tag me in their pictures when they've set up a self-taping situation out of town, and they've got like the hotel room all completely turned upside down with the lights like on their side, and they've got like furniture propped up to get their sides in a place where they've got a good eye line. And I'm so mesmerized by the genius that comes from being resourceful when you know you need to self-tape something. But your agent, your manager, puts that in the little pocket brain there and goes, oh, I know that this actor is never going to decline an audition because they will always be able to go on tape no matter where they are. And that makes you more marketable for an agent or manager. So there are so many benefits to proactively self-taping. And of course, if you're like, this is new information, please go back and watch the day 16 video. The replay is linked in your playlist here at bonniegillespie.com/20, link in bio for you good people watching behind the scenes at Instagram. So let's talk about the step beyond self-taping, which is creating your own content. Now, this is something that we go pretty deep into in the 100 days, and I know quite a few of you who are here with me are enrolled or are just starting up with our 100-day program for this live round. So, spoiler alert, I'm going to be encouraging you to create your own content, not just because of all the good things it does in terms of showing the buyers how to cast you next, but also because it adds a credit to your IMDb. It adds a line on your resume. It's something you can submit to festivals, and if it gets in and wins awards, that's laurels all over your website for having won the best this and the best that, and you get to go to those film festivals. You get to go to the networking events with other buyers, with people that you know you want to work with down the line, because of course you will create content that you are targeting toward a festival that you know your buyers consistently have projects in, so that you come into that festival a peer of your buyers. Think about that. The power of being in the speaker green room or the filmmaker only networking event that's happening at a film festival, because you're there as a filmmaker, because you created something that you specifically engineered with the idea of getting into this particular film festival, because you know that your buyers on your path to your true north are consistently producing things that go to that film festival. It's like a no fucking brainer. Oh, by the way, I'm a little obsessed with dropping the F-bomb right now, because I found a place where I didn't know our podcast was getting reviews, and I landed on it yesterday and saw, like, I've got all these great reviews for our podcast, and some of them are like, oh, the sound is a little iffy here and there. And I'm like, I know, sometimes we're just ripping the sound, or we're ripping the audio off a video file, so the sound is not like done with like a podcast microphone. But there was someone who was like, I love Bonnie, she's fantastic, but every now and then she's just talking about something innocuous and throws out the F word, and I wish she wouldn't do that. And I'm like, we mark the fucking podcast explicit for a reason. It's because I have no idea when I'm going to say it. If I'm in the mood, like right now, I haven't slept well in a couple of days, I am far more likely to throw out the F word for no reason. And I'm not going to apologize for that, because that's a part of my brand. So anyway, tangent on that. Also, not having slept, I'm going to go on a tangent, but let's not do that. Let's come back around to all the reasons that I want you to create your own content. The power of being able to add a line to your IMDb, add a line to your resume, add footage to your freaking demo reel that shows there is no doubt you are exactly this right type to do this right kind of role at this right tier at this right time for this right buyers. Getting your stuff in at festivals, winning awards, getting to go to those festivals, having pictures of yourself on the step and repeat at these festivals, and then that goes up on your IMDb. Like, all of these reasons that creating your own content is a brilliant idea. And most importantly, it teaches you so much about how things aren't personal when you don't get cast. Creating your own content takes you out of the narcissist me that you might be. Not you, you're ninjas, you're here, you're doing this work, I know, but there are some people, y'all know, those actors who are all like, me, what's in it for me? Come look at me, me. And then that, in the negative, plays out, not that that's not already negative, but it really plays out with the I didn't get cast, what's wrong with me? I can't get in the room. What's wrong with me? Like, it becomes this piling on of negativity when we can't see beyond ourselves to the bigger picture. So something really fantastic that creating your own content does is it shows you how infrequently a casting decision is personal. It's almost never personal. It's just not. And then by going through the casting process as a creator and bringing in a parade of auditioning actors to see who's the right fit for this role in my project, you get clear on how many places actors get in their own way, how many unprofessional people are out there. I'm sorry, but it's true. There's so many unprofessional, just full on wackadoodle whackers out there. And y'all know that because you've been in waiting rooms. You've seen them. It's not you, but you've seen them. You know that there is that stench of desperation. You know, there is a sense of entitlement. There's the unprofessionalism of being late, of not being off book, or not even having the lines familiar, even if it's not the situation where you need to be off book yet. You've seen all of those things happen, plus actors not looking at all like their headshots. And so you're calling someone in thinking they're right for the role, and they're right for the role you were casting a week ago, not this one today. And you're like, oh my God, all the places that actors create their own no. So we talk about how being an actor, being a showbiz creative is filled with rejection. And then we realize once we get into the mindset of a producer or a content creator, we realize how much of the rejection is actually baked into the actor goodness by the actor himself or herself. We go, oh shit, if I'm doing any of that, I'm going to get out of my own way right now. Yeah, it's a biggie. It's a biggie. It's a biggie. So content creation is empowering in so many ways, also because every time that you're not in a class or at your survival job or networking or taking care of your materials and getting all your marketing stuff on point, every time that you're not auditioning or doing any of the admin of running your actor business, you're working on your script. If you're not a script writer, you're working on your idea with a script writer. You are collaborating with fellow ninjas on content that you want to create. And we have quite a few people in the self-management for actors community, quite a few around the world, who meet regularly to create content. Because if you don't like the footage on your reel, if you don't have enough credits right now, if you're not yet in the union and you're ready to be, and you're sure you're ready to be, because that's a big thing. Make sure you don't join before you're ready, because then you get yourself painted into a corner of having to say no to paid non-union work when you might still need to say yes to that. So don't rush to do that. But if you're at a point where you're like, I need to be in the union, and not because it's been used as a stopper on you, but because it is in fact true that it is time. It's time for you to join the union. You can create a project under a union contract. You don't have to be a union member to be a union producer. And then you create content for yourself that allows you to Taft-Hartley yourself so that you have reached that benchmark. These are all things that you can be moving forward, no excuses, once you become a content creator. And if you're like, yeah, but I don't want to get good at all the stuff. I'm not interested in learning how to shoot. I'm not interested in learning how to edit. I'm really not interested in learning how to write. Good news. Your project's going to be better if you are not the only person bringing all of that creative energy to the project. You're actually going to do a better job as a content creator if you are a collaborator. So you want to work with others who want to create content. You want to get together with a group of people who also need footage and credits and union eligibility and want to have something to work on that is within that same brand umbrella that you're working toward. All of these things are things that you can bring together in a group and also have that accountability with one another, because you're going to show up to make it happen, because this person's going to be willing to hold the boom. This person's going to be willing to take care of craft services. This person is going to handle all the editing of the script. This person's going to handle the editing of the final project. And y'all are all pooling your resources so that you don't have to become the expert on all the things. And that's an incredibly empowering position to be in, having that kind of group of people. And I'm making a note here for some stuff that I know I want to cover on our very, very, very last broadcast of the month, because I just thought of it. And if I don't write it down, I'll forget it because I'm really, really sleepy. I haven't been sleeping. Okay. I'm making a list of things that we're going to talk about on next Friday, because, oh my gosh, we're almost a week away from the end of May. We are a week away from the end of May. A week from now, we will have finished the final broadcast of SMF May. I will have done the bonus last day broadcast in which I announce scholarship winners and welcome y'all into the 100-day program. Already, I see so many of you here who are joining us for the 100 days, and I want to welcome you and hope that you are already inside. You got your username and password, you got your welcome kit, you're doing your pre-day one homework, getting hooked up with your accountability buddies, checking in with one another already for how to make sure that you have the best 100 days of your life, and really make the most of it, so that it's not just, oh, I did those 100 days and now what? It's actually changed how you approach this business in such a way that you now are in fact running your own small business, because that's what we want. And not so small. We want it to grow as large as you want it to grow. But on a week from today, I will be doing a bonus broadcast that is not a part of the 20 days. It is in fact a thank you for joining me for the 20 days of SMF May and announcing the scholarship winners. And I've got a couple of nuggets of information that I want to make sure that I cover. And I've been making a list here on my calendar. So let me also put this one, because I just thought of that as well. But I'm taking tomorrow off. On Sunday, we are going to get into non-icky self-promo. If you've ever felt like really narcissistic when you invite people to your show or ask people to help you with your Indiegogo campaign or Kickstarter, we're going to talk about how to do self-promotion and how to stay in touch with people who've said, stay in touch, let me know when you book something, like how to do that from a non-icky way. Also next week, we're going to talk about your survival job, because if you ain't got money, honey, you can't pursue this business. And I'm not saying you got to have a ton of money, but you got to have something flowing in so that you're not worried about rent while you do the things that you have to do to run your business. And from that, we're going to go into your business plan and some daily practices from a really practical standpoint of the day-to-day of running your actor business. What questions might you have for me about producing your own content and how that all breaks down? Because honestly, this used to be something we spent a ton of time on when we do our one-day intensives for self-management for actors. We used to spend a couple of hours going through the nuts and bolts of creating your own content and really trying to sell people on why they should be doing it. And over time, everybody gets it. You need to be doing it. And so now it's just a question of will you? And so I find I don't actually have to talk about it as long as I used to, because y'all know how important it is to create your own content. I was actually having lunch last week with a publicist friend of mine, and she said, do you think actors water down their brand as actors when they're creating content? And I said, in a world where people get television series and Netflix series and development deals and multi-project development deals off the things that they've created for themselves as an actor, of course it's not a problem. As long as what you are creating as a content creator includes a role for yourself in your on-brand best, and it's all been run through that brand filter for where does it fit on this trajectory through the tiers up to my true north. As long as you have done all of that strategizing before you just jump in and say, oh, I got to create something, and then you create something that's you are never going to be cast like that. Oh my gosh, I have one client who consistently casts herself 20 years younger than she reads on screen. I don't care how old you actually are. I really don't. I never do. But boy, if you are casting yourself as a couple decades off from how the industry sees you, you are investing a lot of money in creating your own content to show people that you just don't get it. And that part just makes me really scratch my head. Oh my God. And I totally left out one of the most important things of creating your own content, which I touched on yesterday. And I'm just reminded of it because I got an email today letting me know that I've been selected as a judge for the preliminary part of the short form Emmys. So I'm a member of the Television Academy, and so I vote on the Emmys and always do because I vote for, like, just like in the real elections here in our government, I vote every time I can because I know even the like tiniest ones are really important, especially those sometimes. And so I always vote in the local Emmys. I vote in the soap Emmys. I vote in the, like the daytime Emmys, like all the different special categories, the new media ones. So I have been contacted to let me know that I've been selected as a judge for the actor section of the short form Emmys, which means these pieces of content that I'm telling you to go create, these shorts, these things that you put up on the web that absolutely qualify for Emmy nomination. You can win a gold and shiny statue for a self-produced piece of content that you created with, in your mind, no real agenda beyond getting more footage on your reel and showing the buyers how to cast you. Think about how cool that is. Y'all, there are so many benefits to doing this. Okay, I see some questions. Let's do some questions. Over at Facebook, Becky is asking, self-produced content on your resume is about par with student films, right? It's more about creating exposure, relationship, making opportunities. So Becky, let's talk about this. We talked about inverted pyramid for demo reel footage, and we talked about in the resume feng shui episode, and this is me pointing at previous episodes. So if you're like, what is she pointing at? Go back to the playlist and watch previous episodes from these free 20 days of training so that you're completely up to speed with what we do in terms of resume feng shui and the inverted pyramid for knowing what goes on your demo reel. You want to be able to rank it. And so I can't just right out the gate say your self-produced content is on par with a student film, because there are some student films that are spectacular, that are Sundance level films. There are student films that are garbage. And you can see a boom shadow and everything's a mess. And you're just like, oh my God, this is the worst footage I've ever seen. So that's a big category when you're saying it's on par with a student film. I don't know. Your self-produced work could be as good as the best student film I've ever seen or cast. Your self-produced film could be as horrible as the worst student film I've ever seen or cast. So like it depends. You have to be dispassionate in your ability to evaluate how does my self-produced content stack up when compared with everything else on my reel, on my resume, in my IMDb credits. Like, you have to be realistic about where it falls. And if it's a film that you were able to submit to festivals and it got in and it won awards and you're having to fly around the country or around the world to go do red carpets and be there with the step and repeat and do the press line and do networking events and to be on panels and to do Q&As and talkbacks with your baby film, you can bet that's definitely stacking up probably higher than some of the student films on your resume. But it's going to be case by case. If we were working privately and I were taking a look at your overall picture, I would have a lot stronger opinion in one way or the other. But in general, in this free group coaching experience, I can only say it really depends on a lot of factors. In the dojo for the 100 days, you'll see that we showcase some of our very favorite high budget self-produced projects and our very favorite low, like tens of dollars budget self-produced projects, and all the places in between. And by the way, money does not mean necessarily that it's got higher value. It means it costs more to produce, but it can look like it took $1 million to produce it and you could have spent just hundreds of dollars. It really just depends on where you're budgeting and how much preliminary research and connection with the group that you're putting it together with you do before you go into shooting. I don't ever want anybody to rush this, but this goes back to day 2 of our 20 days here, which is launch at 85%. Get that first pancake done. Kathy Carey calls it a first pancake, and I love that. She's a longtime ninja. who loves to talk about self-producing and has a book coming out about creating your own content and the value in that in so many levels. She has multi-award-winning projects that she's done over the years, and she was self-producing long before it was popular. It used to be if you self-produced, people labeled you the actor who can't get work unless you make it for yourself. And that used to be true. But then I don't know what you know about technology, but it got affordable and things got more accessible and the gatekeepers got more exclusive, and then the creators went, I want to create. So you can't stop me from creating my own content. I am going to go build an audience. I am going to go show that there is value to the work that I can do. And eventually you buyers will come get on board. I mean, if we think about it, my work has been that way. Self-management for actors was created by my answering emails and answering on message boards all over the internet in the late 90s into the early 2000s, every question that actors had in follow-up to my columns. So here I am interviewing all these casting directors, but actors keep writing in with question after question after question. And so I put the answers to those questions out on the internet, and I keep getting told, oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God, this is gold. Oh my God, this is so helpful. Oh my God, why is nobody talking about this? And then finally Keith said, honey, this is a book. And I was like, it's not a book. And he's like, it's a book. So you can thank my husband, Keith Johnson, for the fact that self-management for actors exists, because he convinced me it's a book. We self-fucking produced it. Self-publishing back in 2002, when we first published my first book, which is Casting Cues, which is the collection of casting director interviews. You know, that back then, self-producing was considered no one else will publish you, therefore you're having to publish yourself. Oh, so sad. Actually, I turned down a book deal from the parent company of Backstage at the time. It's a different parent company now, but back in the day, I was offered, like most columnists are offered, a very standard publishing deal to turn my columns into book form. But I would lose all editorial control and I would lose the rights to my work. And I was like, I went to J school. I'm not stupid. I own the rights to my work. You didn't pay me enough to start for you to own this stuff. And your advance and your royalties are definitely not paying me enough for you to own this stuff. So we just decided to self-publish instead. Self-publishing is self-producing. And today, you're considered crazy if you go for a big publishing deal for your first book. Your first book has to be self-published because you have to have proof of concept that you have an audience, and you get to keep more of the freaking money. Why wouldn't you? So as times have changed and it's gotten more and more popular to be out there showcasing, hey, I invested in myself and it paid off. You are basically just teaching the buyers, when you invest in me, it's worth it, because look at what we've been able to do investing in ourselves. So I'm not asking you to do anything different than what I've done, which is you believe that what you have has value, which let's go to the mindset part that we did in day one. If you don't believe that what you do and what you have as an artist has value, we got to fix that. And that's, for those of you joining me in the 100 days, that is a big part of what we do throughout the 100 days, is make sure that your resting state of enoughness is high, because this business, this life will challenge you, especially if you are getting outer validation only as the sign of I am enough. So you got to be walking around sure that what you have is worth others investing in. And the best way to showcase that this shit's worth investing in is to invest in yourself and then show the buyers, look how this pays off. And then they get on board. So I'm only asking you to do what I've always done, which is put your work out there because you believe it has value. And then when all the people go, oh my God, this has so much value. Where have you been my whole life? You can go, I've been here doing this. It just took you a minute to find me. That's okay. That's all right. It's good that you're here now. Oh, Keith's getting a lot of love in the comments. Yes, I know. I'm so grateful to him for having gotten this whole thing going. It's true. I mean, without him, Self-Management for Actors would still just be a collection of posts that I answered on the internet and emails that I answered, and it wouldn't be the book that it is today. Now a piece of curriculum at colleges and universities all over the world. I mean, my God, it's so cool. It's so cool. Let's show that baby book again. Yay. 4th edition. This is the current one. People who are looking at it going, oh, this was written in 2013. Yes, but we do new printings every time we get low on stock, and we're about to do the 5th printing of the 4th edition. So that one will have corrections in it and changes in it. So it'll still look like this. It'll still be called the 4th edition, but it's going to be the 5th printing of the 4th edition, which will be available here in 2019. And so if you're like, when's the new one going to come out? I don't have to write a new edition because we keep it current through the quarterly phone calls and the hot sheets, which my team will pop a link in the comments here at Facebook. But you can sign up to join us for our free quarterly calls and get your free SMFA hot sheets. These are all complimentary additions to the book to make sure that it stays current, because that's how you make sure anything that you create stays relevant over time, because once you print a book, it's already out of date. But if the things that are most likely going to change, you say, hey, we're going to continue to update these through PDFs or through phone calls. It's pretty smart thinking, huh? I know it only took me till the 4th edition to figure that out. Earlier editions, I was having to do a new edition every 2 years because of how fast things change. There are subgroups. Let's talk about that real quick and then we'll close off. There are subgroups. If you are in the Self-Management for Actors Facebook group, which I encourage you to join, we do vet all the members, so make sure you fill out the little form when you go to join, because if you haven't filled that out and let us know that you get that our group is different than other groups on Facebook, we won't let you in. And we regularly show people the door when they don't understand how we play in the Self-Management for Actors group. We make the rules pretty clear. They're just like, don't be dumb. Don't be promotey in a group that is no promo. That's pretty easy, right? And make sure you're using this as a workout space for the Self-Management for Actors principles. Anyway, so fill that out. Come join the group. In the big Self-Management for Actors Facebook group, we have a list of subgroups. And these are broken down by interest area and by geography. So we have the Euro Ninjas. They are very active. They actually get together on a virtual meeting every month. And sometimes I pop in and join them and answer their questions, because they get together in that format and in person. Usually when I'm making a trip over to London, we'll all get together. The Euro Ninjas are super active. The New York Ninjas, very, very active. There's an Atlanta Ninjas group that is less active, but has had its moments where it's been super, super busy. There are ones for different parts of Canada, different states throughout the U.S. There was Australia, I think a Sydney group at one point. Don't know if it's still active, but there are also interest area subgroups. And these are things like, we have literary ninjas, people that are writers and want to get together and collaborate on writing. We have fitness ninjas for people who want to have accountability for their workouts. We have the Whole30 SMFA group, which I run because I'm, of course, obsessed with Whole30 and how it changed my life and my body forever. And so there are all sorts of little interest area groups. And the one that I want to highlight today is this group that is meant to get together regularly to create content. And so if you're like, I need to be a part of a group that gets together regularly and creates content, come on over to the Self-Management for Actors Facebook group, find that list of all the subgroups. There's also a show Bible group. They get together once a week and compare notes and update their show Bible with one another, sharing resources. I mean, this is one thing that I really, really love about the community that has come up around Self-Management for Actors. Y'all love sharing your toys. And I think that's awesome because ultimately we're creating the Hollywood we want with our every choice. And so the more collaborative we are, the less competitive we are, the more we realize we're all in this together and come on, let's do this, the quicker we can change Hollywood into the place that we want it to be. And I mean that not from a geographical sense. So wherever you are, you're contributing to the Hollywood you want to be a part of with your every choice. And on that philosophical note, I will close off today's broadcast. Thank you all for joining me. And those of you who are joining me in the 100 days, I will see you in the dojo. I'm so freaking excited for us to have this summer together. It's such a blast. And those of you who are returning, thank you so much for supporting the newbies and also, of course, for investing in your next tier, because I know it's a completely different experience each time you do the 100 days because there's so much that is learned on layers with this work. And I love getting to welcome you back. We will be back for this next bit of free training for SMF May on Sunday. It's Memorial Day weekend here in the States, but I'm going to go live on Sunday and hopefully you will be joining me for that. Of course, all the information and replays all available to you as well as the scholarship contest link at bonniegillespie.com/20, link in bio for you watching over here at Instagram behind the scenes. Thank you, thank you, thank you, beautiful people. I cannot wait to see what you create next. So go do it. It's worth it. You're worth it. Invest in yourself. Show the buyers you're worth investing in. It's really simple. Love you, beautiful people. Till next time. Have a good weekend. Stay ninja. Bye.